Can this Gourmand fragrance win me over with its cavity-inducing sweetness? Let's find out. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel. Today we're talking fragrances and this is a practical review of Memo Paris Sintra. These reviews are for fragrances I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears in many situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances these days, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't really feel that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. This is a house that I've been really exploring after my first impressions video with Russian Leather and Memo Gourmand from Amouage. Russian Leather was a fragrance that I generally enjoyed. It didn't really blow me away scent-wise, but it intrigued me enough to dive a little bit deeper into the house. Also, Memo Paris as a house is very highly regarded. Their most popular fragrance is arguably African Leather, which I have, and a review will be coming out soon for that. My thoughts on the house overall is that they are a high-quality house with high-quality ingredients. The scents are very long-lasting, pretty unique, but still relatively mass-appealing. They have that French safety net there in place. Currently, I have Tiger's Nest, African Leather, Iberian Leather, and Sintra, obviously. So this fragrance here is not from the leather line, it's actually from the Fleur Bohème line. This was not a first choice for me. I got this from a trade with my favorite trader ever. Shout out to Nat. This fragrance here is definitely not for me, I would say, but we'll get into that in a sec. I sort of stumbled upon this fragrance. This was definitely not my first choice, especially considering that I've read the notes online and didn't really sound appealing or my style of fragrance. But it was in a trade, and in trades you don't really always get to pick out exactly what you want, so I just decided to give it a try, and here we are. I actually wore this quite a bit, and before drawing my conclusions, which are pretty much evident from the first wear, I still wanted to give it a proper test with multiple wears. I wore this pretty much everywhere. I wore it at the office, I wore it outside, I wore it while working out. So I have a pretty good idea of what this is and how it performs. But before diving in deeper about the scent profile, let's talk about the presentation. And here Memo Paris, I feel, is pretty top tier. They have a very unique presentation actually. It's very different from a lot of things out there. Their bottles are these satin semi-transparent bottles, which I really like. They have some sort of a plaque in front. I think it's a metal plaque that's glued on. It's very high quality, and these are sort of, they look like they're painted in a way. It's not like a sticker or anything. So again, the whole thing feels really high quality. Caps are decent, nothing to write home about. They're metal though. They slip on friction based. The atomizers are really good considering. Let's give it a couple sprays here. Yeah, they're just predictable, really good, easy to aim, functional. On top of the atomizer, you get an engraved M with a star from Memo Paris, and the same M with the star is actually on top of the cap as well. I really like the fact that this frosted glass lets you see the liquid level, and in the back it's completely visible. I just think it's a really cool, classy design. The excellent presentation extends to the boxes. The boxes these come in are really awesome, they're really luxurious, and they feel high quality. I don't have a box for this one here, as it was a trade and it just came the way it is. But the other ones I do have a box for, and it's actually really cool. It might sound silly, but one of the things I like most about the presentation is the satin bottle, just because it's really fingerprint resistant. I can't get over how beautiful these plaques are, and in the Sintra one, it's a gold plaque with this teal and baby blue paint, and the pattern on it looks like tiles. It's really nice. It gives me like African vibes or maybe like Middle Eastern vibes. The excellent Memo presentation is really unique as mentioned, and I think it really deserves a 10 out of 10 in this department. But hey, these bottles are $300 to $400 I think, so it's the least you can get. I mean, they have to be good presentation to be this kind of luxury item. All right, I guess it's time to talk about the scent profile for Sintra. Upon researching this and reading the notes, I immediately thought that this wasn't for me. I'm not really into overly sweet fragrances. I'm not really into hyper gourmands, and stuff like caramel, vanilla, marshmallow doesn't really appeal to me unless dosed in a very particular way and usually offset with something else, maybe like another bitter note like tobacco or I don't know, like oud. There has to be something to offset the sweetness. In fact, the fragrances that are vanilla based that I like the most are the ones that manage to balance that vanilla aspect very, very well. I sort of had hopes for the opening because I do like orange blossom, I do like orange, and I do like neroli fragrances. My current benchmark for orange blossom neroli is the Fragonard that I reviewed in the past. That is an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous 10 out of 10 orange blossom, orange fragrance. And given the price of Sintra, I was really expecting that kind of quality or better even. This fragrance opens up with that massive orange blossom note or accord. You get this massive orange and neroli opening, which is, to be honest, very synthetic and very grating. It's a piercing chemical type of note that is really not for me. If you read the reviews on Parfumo and Fragrantica, everyone complains about the opening actually, being it really abrasive and harsh. And while I do agree, the piercing abrasive note is actually while you first initially spray it. Let me just refresh my memory here. Yeah, it really has a window cleaner, really chemical aspect to it, and it's far from anything natural. But if you wait 1 to 2 minutes, that chemical harshness sort of fades away and it really becomes a lot more natural. It never reaches the beautiful naturalness of the Fragonard, but it's okay, it's pretty decent. Immediately you start picking up hyper sweet notes, those caramel and the marshmallows and the vanillas in the back. And the fragrance actually quickly transitions to that state, to that hyper gourmand state, leaving the orange blossom pretty much behind after 30 minutes. This fragrance is pretty long lasting. You get 8 hours plus with strong projection. You're gonna definitely be smelling yourself and people around you will be smelling you. The hyper sweetness of this tends to be a little bit fatiguing to me. I would say that overall, this fragrance leans a little bit feminine, a little bit too feminine for my taste, although it's marketed as unisex. It's just that lactonic, vanilla, raspberry, and caramel notes are a little bit cloying to me. This is really, as I mentioned in my intro, a little bit cavity inducing to me. The mid is where the massive amount of sweetness wave comes at you, and it's really hard to escape it. And I would categorize the mid like something between minute 5 to minute 120, like 2 hours in. After about 2 hours in the dry down, I think that this fragrance gives its best, and the sweetness is toned down. It becomes more of a skin scent, and it becomes this creamy, hyper luxurious lotion type feel with a sweet background. I think that the dry down for this is great. It's a great home and cuddly scent for the evenings if you want to unwind from work, or if you want to transition from something a little bit more work oriented to something like this. Once again, I think that this leans heavily feminine, and I think that people compare this to a very popular Kilian, which is Love Don't Be Shy. I haven't smelled that, but that is a highly regarded feminine fragrance. So there's that. I would say that if you're a guy, you can pull this off. You have to definitely be into the sweet side of Gourmand. You have to be into that caramel, sugar, marshmallow notes. If you're not into those notes, I would say definitely stay away. But if that kind of aspect intrigues you, and I was actually looking for something like this, I would say sample first and then take it from there. This is a strong, polarizing scent. It's strong and polarizing, but at the same time, it's really mass appealing. When I wore this at the office, it was very pleasant. It gave this aura around me of like just approachability in a way, because something like this means that you're confident enough to pull something like this off if you're a guy. And it makes it so that people are willing to get in and close, and maybe even not necessarily compliment, but approach and appreciate what you're smelling like. The versatility of this scent is, I would say, pretty average, meaning that season-wise, this is a little bit too heavy for the summer, in my opinion. Maybe it's because I don't really associate vanillas and sweet notes to summer. I think that when temperatures rise and the skin gets warmer, vanilla and sweet notes tend to get a little bit cloying, but that's my impression, that's my taste. The orange blossom, if you think that that might offset the sort of like sweetness, it really won't, because the orange blossom here is very sweet and it only lasts those 30 minutes. So don't count on that for some sort of a fresh feeling. And despite this, if you go easy on the sprays, you might be able to pull this off in the summer. I mean, I wear super heavy fragrances in the summer all the time. You just have to really learn how to dose and learn in which environments those fragrances work the best. I think in a climatized environment like an office, this is great all year round. And in the mid seasons and in the winter, I think that this would work even even better. The vanilla, those creamy sweet notes would work really well in contrast with colder air. Age-wise, this is also very versatile. It might lean a little bit more youthful, so I think that anyone from teens to, I would say, 40 to 50, it really depends on how youthful you feel, can wear this. But I just don't imagine some sort of a well-composed gentleman or older woman just pulling this off. It's just a little bit too sweet and a little bit too modern. I really like the House of Memo. I like their style, I like their fragrances, and my other 3 fragrances I really like. I sort of wanted to start with this one here in a way to get it out of the way. To be honest, this is not really for me. This is way too sweet. It's a little bit too feminine leaning. I have no problems wearing feminine fragrances, but they have to be maybe more floral, maybe fresher. I'm not against this because it's too feminine. I'm actually against this because it's a little bit too sweet for my taste. If you like sweetness and if you can handle that kind of sweetness, I would say go for it, because this is a high quality scent. If you're interested in this scent or any other Memo, I would definitely check out discounters, because truly, I don't believe that the Memos are really worth retail price. Their retail price is just kind of ridiculous, and I can't see them selling any kind of fragrance or bottles at that price. So much so that this is a quite popular fragrance house to find at discounter, similarly to Xerjoff. Overall, I'm really happy I had a chance to try this. I didn't want to restrict myself to just the leather collection. In fact, one of my favorites that I have is not from the leather collection, which is Tiger's Nest. That is an absolutely beautiful balsamic incense, but I'll cover that in another review. Just to close this off, and this applies to both males and females, if you're into gourmands, if you're into heavy sweetness, if you're into the kind of sweetness that comes with like a fruity, caramelly, sugary, lactonic type of sweetness, this might be exactly the fragrance you're looking for. If you're looking for an alternative to the Kilian, maybe this might be the fragrance you're looking for. I can't speak for that personally. And this not being transportative in any way and not giving me any kind of narrative is actually a good thing, because this actually is a really good signature scent candidate. If you're into the kind of fragrance, if you're into the kind of sweetness, be sure to check out discounters, because Memo full price is not recommended by me. If you like this type of content, if you like my video approach, feel free to subscribe. It always helps the channel and is massively appreciated. I love making these videos and I love interacting with you guys. And if you want to interact with me, leave any comment, suggestion, opinion, or whatever down below. I always respond and I always keep the conversation open. Thanks again for watching. Thank you again so much for your time. Until next time, many more reviews to come. See ya and cheers.